Hello, and thank you for your interest in serving in the White Oak Baptist Church bus ministry. When you informed me of your interest in serving the bus ministry, you were given an information packet containing many forms, including the areas to study in the CDL manual and the documents needed to obtain CLP manual. Today, I want to talk to you about this form here and the items you'll need in order to get your CLP, or Commercial Learner Permit, which is the first stage of your CDL. There are several items you will need. The first of being is a current state of Connecticut driver's license. If you have a driver's license from another state, unfortunately you will not be able to get a Connecticut commercial driver's license. You would have to switch your driver's license to a Connecticut license. The next form you will need is known as the R7 form, the application for public passenger endorsement, or PERU form. This form will be turned into the state beforehand, before you get your CLP, and you will get an email telling you that you have been approved. You need to have this before you go to the DMV to try to take your learner's permit test. This form can take up to 90 days and does have a cost associated with it that the church will take care of. This form, however, is only valid for 90 days from the date the email is sent. So study the manual first, make sure you're ready, and then we will get this form. Another form you will need is to be able to have a DPS 125C form, or the state fingerprints form. This form is only good for a few days before you try to get your CLP. We have to do this as one of the last steps. My personal preference is doing it the day before you're going to go take your learner's permit test. Any state police department or any city police department is able to do it at no cost to you. I will even go down there with you if you would like. It's a real quick, simple form. You get to go in the back, you get to see the jail cells. It's actually pretty cool. If you've lived in the state of Connecticut for the last 5 years, the next step you don't have to worry about. But if you lived in another state like me, you're going to have to get forms from the previous state, certified driving and commercial and criminal histories from the previous states. Even if you lived in a state such as California, where they have had closed records, the state of Connecticut does not accept a closed record state, and you have to get those forms even from a closed record state. The next form you have to get is your CDL physical, examination determining physical condition. This form will be one that you have to go to a physician to get approved. Not every primary care physician can do one of these forms. You know, White Oak Baptist Church mostly uses MedNow down in Stratford. Again, we will pay for it. They will give you a big form and a small card that you must carry with you at all times. As having a commercial driver's license, even if you're driving your own personal vehicle, you must have an updated and up-to-date medical card on you at all times. I keep mine in my wallet. I would highly recommend you keep yours right next to your license. Even in your own private vehicle, you must have that with you at all times. Again, those forms are only good for a few days. I recommend a day or two before you're going to take your permit test to get it at that time. The next form you will have to do is the DCF 3051 form. This form is actually not for the DMV, but for the Department of Child and Families, DCF, here in Connecticut. You must fill out this form and then mail it to the address provided on the form. Again, this form needs to be done in advance. I recommend as one of the early steps in training for your CLP to get this form accomplished and mailed in. Another form you will have to do is actually online through the state of Connecticut state sex offender list. You must go on there, fill out the forms, and prove that you do not have any kind of a sex offender history. If you do have such a history, then you cannot drive for this church, for our church, as against our policies. So that form, again, can only be done a few days in advance of when you 48 hours from when you're trying to get your CLP. So that form is one of those forms you must do last minute. Those are the forms you'll need to submit to the Department of Motor Vehicles in advance at the address listed below. You can either drop it off, there's a mail slot, or mail it in. You have to have some of these forms in advance to bring with you to the DMV the day you're trying to get your license. The hard part is knowing which one goes where. I recommend getting multiple copies of each because they will lose paperwork. Everyone that's at the church that's ever tried to get their CDL from the DMV here in Connecticut, the Connecticut Department of Motor Vehicles has lost their paperwork and has asked to resubmit them. So keep a copy of your paperwork so you can prove what has happened. Again, when it comes to any of the costs or the payments, I'll be right there and the church will pay for it. Again, we're excited that you've determined to serve the Lord through driving the church buses. It is a great ministry that has made an impact in many lives. Thanks for watching.